What is up, everybody? Welcome back. I got friends now. I know.
You have friends?
It's weird. I don't like this. I'm just kidding. I do like it. Anyway, today, power rankings. I think we're only going top 10. So if you all want to see some teams, there you go. Because I know you can't think of them off the top of your head. Anyways, hey, my parents are listening to this.
Oh, sorry, guys.
I think. I don't know.
They watch our videos?
No
Good for them.
No one does.
Oh,
No one watches these YouTube videos.
Rough.
They watch the TikTok ones, though, and that's all that matters.
You
Anyway,
have friends.
I feel like go ahead. We'll start at the top because I think that's the easiest. I think for me at least, there's a very clear 1 and 2, and that's the two undefeated teams, San Francisco and Philly. I think without a doubt. I got San Fran 1, Philly 2. I get Philly looked a little rough this week.
You have San Fran 1?
Yes, San Fran 1.
Yeah, San Fran 1.
It's right there.
Oh, that's
right.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the actual ranking.
Right there. Yeah, no, so I got San Fran 1. I just think they've looked like the most complete team week in and week out. They've played some pretty decent teams. And yeah, so I don't have.
Yeah, I really don't want to put them there, but I don't think I can make an argument against it.
No, I don't. The only argument before was Miami. Then they got beat. Buffalo lost. I think San Fran's the only. And you can make an argument for Philly.
I think the issue though is the reason why I really want to, but I can't, is because San Fran.
Correct.
San Fran is the only team that's actually looked good in almost every game they played in. Eagles have looked shaky in quite a few of them.
Yeah, every single week.
Yeah, so I think you're right, although I don't want to put him there. You kind of have to.
I think you're just disagreeing with me.
Yeah, that's also true.
Anyways,
that's very true, but I
moving
can't.
on,
I can't on this one.
And then for the difference for me between Philly and Buffalo is that loss, and that'll get a little inconsistent throughout. I was like, but if you're 4-0, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. As even if you look like crap against the Patriots, I was like,
I think the other thing too is that loss is big because although when Phillies look bad, they've won.
Right.
They
still pulled out.
When Buffalo looked the worst they've looked, they lost. Right. I think that's why I think that's why I'm okay with that.
No, and then I do have, I would say, Buffalo ahead of Dallas.
Buffalo's 3. I think Buffalo's a solid 3. I don't think there's any team that I would put over them.
Yeah.
The only reason I have questions of putting Buffalo at 3 is because of the loss to the Jets.
That's very fair.
But they also did just beat Miami.
But it's so the next group of teams, all the ones with the one loss, I was the Bills lost to the Jets, the Cowboys lost to the Cardinals, Dolphins lost to the Bills, Ravens lost to the Colts, I almost said Texans, Chiefs lost to the Lions, and Lions lost to the Seahawks.
I think the other thing too is Buffalo's 3 because after they lost to the Jets, they completely just dominated every single game they played in so far, other than that first game.
Yeah.
So I think they've looked the best. Outside that loss, these teams left, they've looked the best. And I think that's why you have to put them 3.
Yes.
That's fair. Yeah. It's hard because you want to put Miami high. Because the team that they've lost to is the Bills.
Right. I was I think if they had made it a closer
I could
game,
almost put Miami over Dallas.
So I think we need to talk about the next one. I think we all agree with Buffalo. I think the next one's going to get a little interesting.
I think I want to put Miami over Dallas.
I don't think.
So I got Dallas at 4.
I don't think Dallas is 4.
I get the loss was bad.
Here's the thing. Here's my issue with Dallas. They have 3 wins, right?
Correct.
But that is going based on their defense. Right? Their defense has carried them to 3 wins.
But also not necessarily. Because their offense, if their offense sucked, they would have blown those games.
Their offense are not scoring touchdowns. They're only kicking field goals.
That is fair.
And I think that's why Miami has to be 4 because of how explosive that offense is and how the defense is a little shaky.
It's that defense, though.
that defense is shaky, but I think that offense, with that 7 they put up on Denver, I know it's Denver, but still 70 points.
It's Denver. Chicago put up 28.
But still 70
points.
But you still put up 70, right? I think Miami has to be 4 for me. I think if right now if you put Miami against Dallas, I think Miami wins. And I'm not sure it's particularly close.
I don't think Miami.
I don't know if you play them against.
I think it's
close. Just based off of who they've lost to, I would put Miami over
That's
Dallas.
fair.
I also agree with that.
Schedule, but that's where I was I disagree with Dallas. I think if they played right now, I think Dallas would win.
See, I don't think so, and it really comes down to that offense. I don't think I think the biggest issue, and we'll see again this week when they play Frisco, I think them not being able to score touchdowns right now is a really big issue. And I think, you don't get me wrong, Dolphins defense, very shaky.
It is.
But when you can put up as much points as they can, right? I know they lost to Buffalo not putting up enough points, but I think they will.
Yeah.
In the future, I think that was just an off game. I think you put up 70 and you put up only 20. Makes sense, right? So I think they will be fine. I think they will score about 30 to 40 every game. I just don't think Dallas
just scored 20.
I think this is, but again, it's after a 70-point game.
It was a good defense.
It's after a 70-point game. I think it's like a lot of, NFL, a lot of sports too. It's when you put up a high number.
Yeah.
The next game you struggle to put up points, and that's usually what happens.
Not necessarily,
No,
especially not to this extent. I was like,
it's fair. I just think that like again, that offense will put up 34 on a consistent basis. I think this was one of those outliers, but I think what we've seen from the offense of Cowboys, we've seen that they are going to struggle to score touchdowns all year, and I think because of that, I just can't put them for.
I doubt that it'll be all year.
For Dallas fans, I hope so, because if not, they're not going to do it.
Right. I was like, I don't know. Like even this next week, I don't know how well they're going to do against San Francisco.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's going to be a rough game for them.
Again, it really comes down to can that O-line score touchdowns instead of field goals? If they can't...
Well, I don't know how much scoring the O-line's doing.
Yeah, the O-line's definitely not going to do a whole lot of scoring.
Yeah, the O-line's
going to
make some good points.
Rules,
no,
but,
I think in terms of the Cowboys and Dolphins, I'm leaning the defense. I was like, I trust what I've seen out of Dallas's defense. I trust that more than...
I get that, but...
Than Miami's defense, and that's a big thing.
But I trust... But again, I think the issue is I think Cowboys defense is the best defense in the league. I think they're a fantastic defense.
Yes, they're
right?
a great defense,
I think so.
but I do think Miami's offense is much better than theirs.
I think the issue is the difference between the defense between Miami and Miami and Dallas. I think the gap is smaller than the gap between the offense of Dallas and Dolphins.
See, I think that's why. I think the offense is better than you're giving it credit for. The finishing isn't there, but they're getting down the field every. But eventually they're going to score.
I think for where we're looking at, right? We're looking at the top 5 right now, right? We're looking at 3 and 4, or sorry, 4 and 5. And I think in order to be at the higher level, you got to put touchdowns on a consistent basis.
That's fair.
Dallas is not doing that right now. Right, I think, and that's why I have Dallas at 5 because of their defense.
I think we have them still 4 and 5.
They're 4 and 5.
Out of 4 and 5.
Right,
and I think
the place.
And I think it's because, and I think Dallas stays 5 for me because of their defense. That's why they're 5.
Okay,
it's because of their defense. If their defense wasn't as good as it is, I would have them 6 or 7.
Yeah, they'd be a little lower, but that's also because these next two we'll move on to the Baltimore Ravens. I have at 6. I think the Colts game was rough. But outside of that, they've looked good. And then Kansas City at 7. Again, I can have them flipped. I don't really care. I'd see the argument for either one. Just the Lions game, I get you don't have Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, you lose it. But then the second half of that Jets game was not overly inspiring. So again, I don't mind, and I get having the Ravens higher is not ideal.
I don't really have anything against the Ravens at this moment in time because the Bengals are deciding to suck.
He probably hates the Ravens more.
I don't have a problem with the Ravens up there because they're doing pretty
but I
decent.
I think
Kansas. I don't know. Kansas is hard to put that high. They got saved this week.
Like
by the refs,
had they continued that first half, 100%,
absolutely,
100%, probably even challenging Miami and Dallas.
Here's what I'll say, right? I think the difference between Dallas and Ravens is their defense, right? And
I do think we're taking a pretty big step.
I think there's a big step, right?
And especially with Kansas City because Zach Wilson just gave.
What I will say is that's the best. That's the best we've seen Zach Wilson look.
That is true.
Yeah,
that is, and he was playing balls in spots that it's very hard to defend.
He hasn't done that since college.
No, and I think that's why I give KC some slack is because Wilson played probably the best.
But then they also allowed him to look like that.
Yeah,
but again, some of those throws, I'm not sure how you defend. Right, and I think looking at KC, they're one of those teams that, it's not pretty, and I think that's why I'm not having them any higher than 6.
I mean, you also
but they get the wins, and they do it.
Well, so does Baltimore.
You're right.
Baltimore's only loss was
KC's
an overtime 61-yard field goal.
So here's what I'll say, right? Ravens' losses to Colts, right?
Colts
are 2-2.
Yeah, and they look actually pretty dang good with a backup quarterback.
They look pretty good, right?
That's
yeah.
weird.
KC's loss is to what you have as your ranked number 8.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So I think that is the reason why I'm like, okay.
The only difference is Kansas City was this close to being 2-2 as well.
Yes.
They were a missed holding call away.
That's the thing, right?
From being 2-2.
I think Jets go down the score, but you can't.
I don't know if they do.
Exactly.
But you can't really know if they score. I think they could probably get to the field goal.
They probably would try
overtime. But even still, I currently have more confidence in the Baltimore Ravens than I do the Kansas City. It feels weird because I was like, the Chiefs have always been.
Here's why I have to have Casey higher. They have Patrick. Patrick
but
finds a way to get it done.
And the Ravens have the first ever
unanimous MVP. But at the end of the day, when it mattered the most, regardless of what calls happen, he found a way to get it done. Right? Yes, calls went his way. I'm not gonna say he didn't.
Yes, they did. Went his way.
They did.
But he did make some plays that he had to make. Right?
Yeah.
And there was some plays that no calls would have been called, and he had to make it and made it. Right?
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, I think because of Patrick, I will put him just above Ravens.
And I understand it.
But I think just like Dolphins and Dallas, this one's really close. Yeah. This one could be a flip of a coin.
Yeah, I think this one's even closer than that one. I
agree.
I think, especially for you guys like Dallas, you guys a bit higher. Is like this one, I think is literally just splitting hairs, and the Patrick Mahomes argument is perfectly valid enough to put them ahead.
I'll be honest. I think next week you'll be able to really separate them. I just don't think you can do it this week because I think they're too close. Again, I would have KC over him, but saying Baltimore's over him right now.
Yeah, so Kansas City, but that's not going to prove anything.
That's not going to prove anything because the Vikings have not looked.
Well, in fact, if they suck, that says more about them than.
And that's the whole point, right?
If they do well, it doesn't say anything. Whereas the Steelers, Ravens, that one I'm taking. I get the Steelers are worse.
Well, I think that's the thing, right? This week you're going to see more of who deserves to be higher, the KC or Baltimore. They either do that by maybe a Baltimore loss to Pittsburgh. Or a KC loss.
Obviously, a loss in both of them. I was like, that's not good.
But I think if Baltimore wins, even by 7, I would say I would feel more confident with that than KC win by 7.
That's a huge rivalry. I was like, speak on the AFC North stuff, specifically those two.
Exactly.
It's like I feel like every AFC North game is just intense. So it's like regardless,
it's like they're all rivals for no reason. Like the Bengals. Specific rival is the Browns, but then they also really hate the Steelers. So it's, and then the Ravens don't particularly like
the Ravens and the Steelers are like
that's just the Browns because it's just throwback jerseys for them.
No, so it's like that's why it's like I'm taking that Ravens game a little bit, but that's for a future. We'll get there later.
Right, but I think
I personally like Lamar Jackson. I like that the offense is like they've been consistent over the last couple years, and so have the Chiefs, but I feel like there's more, like the wide receivers have been in and out. Zay Jones looks fantastic for Baltimore. So, if they can add that bit of passing element to it, too. And the defense has played great. Outside of that Indianapolis game, that defense has played very well.
I think my issue with Baltimore is really,
Lamar Jackson.
Well,
yeah.
But no. I think my issue with them is I don't trust them to kind of seal it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think looking at what I would trust more for a playoff matchup, I trust KC because of Patrick, right?
The other thing is I don't trust Dallas to win a playoff game.
That's also fair.
But they
Unless they
look
play
and that's why I would have
anyone other than the 49ers. It's like,
no, I don't know what it is about Baltimore. I just don't trust them right now. And I think
it's just you hate running quarterbacks.
That is true.
I think that's a very big part of it.
See, the thing is, I think Lamar's having a great year this year. I think he's added the arm.
He's playing terrific.
He's been able to throw a lot better than he has in the past.
The thing is,
it's not a question with Lamar is if he stays healthy.
That's the question. And I think that's the other thing too. Is I think this year I've actually really enjoyed watching Lamar. I think he's upped his game, his passing game. Right,
74% completion.
And I think that's why this year I started really
a little low on the yards, but
that's the thing. This year I really enjoyed watching his game because of that passing. Right, he's mixing that running game with that passing game. Right,
I think he's had the passing game.
Right,
they just don't the offensive structure.
Maybe the pass is because the
completion percentage has been lower.
Right, maybe it's the fit he was in. Maybe it was receivers he had. But now
That's a big part. I mean, Devin Duvernay is
that's fair.
And Rashad Bateman are not an ideal
maybe
1-2 tandem.
Maybe that's why right. That's a good possibility. But I think at the end of the day, I think right now with what he's been doing with his arm and his legs, I've enjoyed watching him, and I think that right now, but when you put him up with Patrick, if you're telling me you have one to close that game with, I'm choosing.
Yeah, no, that's.
And I think that's why I would have Casey. Because I think the teams are so close together. I think it really comes down to more of who I want to close the game out.
That's very.
And I think that's why I picked Mahomes.
Yeah.
But either way, it's close.
You good? Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll jump down a little bit. So I got the Lions and Jaguars next. I think they're very similar. I think the Jaguars, those two losses stand out. Like specifically that Chiefs one was just atrocious.
Yeah.
But last week they looked pretty good. I was like, it is only 4 games. Like it's a quarter of the season. I was like, I'm not gonna hold it too much. And when I look at the other teams, I was like, I have the same problems with every single one of them. So it's like I'm gonna go ahead and give it to the Jaguars this week, but the Lions, I think the Lions have looked.
I think the Lions are pretty solid A. I don't think.
Yes, I think the solid.
I think the Lions is a great A because I don't think they're close to KC or Baltimore, but I don't think they're close to Jags either.
Yeah, no, because I think the Kansas City game, if either
if
one of
Kelce
Kelce or Chris Jones, either one of them is there,
it would be cool. It would be
because also David Montgomery's not getting as many rushing yards as he did.
I don't know. That one would be
the rushing game's not there.
That would be interesting.
If Kelce was there, Tony doesn't get that ball thrown to him.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that's a big factor. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I think Lions are a solid A. That one could go either way.
I was like, they won the game.
Yeah.
And since then, outside even the Seattle game, they didn't look bad.
No.
They do have some weaknesses in the passing attack on defense.
Yeah, they absolutely do.
But outside of that, they are actually a very well-rounded team. The pressure is getting there. Aiden Hutchinson looks great.
Hutchinson looks really good. Right now.
But yeah, no, I think Detroit again very solid.
Solid A.
Then I think it's literally like the 9 through about honestly anywhere down to somewhere in the 20s even. You can technically make an argument for it as like it may seem it will be a little bit of a stretch, but it's not, I don't think it's that much.
I think
my biggest stretch after 9 is Houston higher than they are.
Houston should be I think
that's one where it's like
they've looked really good recently.
I was like, I really want to take in what CJ Stroud has done, but also the talent that like.
There's still the Texans, and it's hard to.
So Houston beats Pittsburgh, and who did they also beat?
Indianapolis.
Yeah, and they lost to.
Let's see. There's two games. So they lost They beat the Jaguars and the Steelers, and they lost to the.
So here's what I'll say. Right, this is why I don't think Jaguars are 9. I think.
Yeah, that loss was
bad. They lost to Houston and they looked really bad. There are 2 losses that looked really, really bad. Their win against the Colts, they didn't look that good either. I mean, they looked fine, but they didn't look great.
No,
they looked pretty good against Atlanta.
Right.
Atlanta, they looked pretty good.
They looked really good.
Toy Story game was so good.
Yeah.
They looked really good against Atlanta, but they have not looked good since. Unfortunately, as much as it pains me to say, I probably would put Tampa 9.
That's fair, but I was like, that's also trusting that Baker's going to continue throughout the year, which he hasn't done.
Listen, I don't think he will, but I think based on performance right now, the way Tampa's been playing, and they played a pretty decent game against Eagles, the game they lost to.
That's fair.
I think, and the fact that they finished and won 3 games when Jags and all the other teams couldn't, and they completely just tore us apart, right?
Well, that's not hard to do.
Well, I mean, but the thing is, they tore our defense apart. Who's having a fantastic year right now. And I think that's why.
And part of it's just I can't.
That's fair.
Can't consciously put them in. The fact that they made it 2-10.
I think
in my head is impressive.
I think with 3-1 and the way they played,
I mean, they're already playing better than.
Right, I think they played better than Jags.
Assumed that they would. At the start of the
they're already
season.
at as many wins as I thought they would get.
They're higher than.
But it's like the Vikings, the Bears, and the Saints are not the 3 toughest of wins. But the toughest of that being the Saints.
The Vikings have a really good offense, and they kind of held them down.
But it's also, have you not seen the Vikings?
I get that, but at the end of the day, they still have good offense, right? They're just not clicking, but they're still good offense.
Like, they couldn't score against the Chargers.
I think...
Everyone scores against the Chargers.
I think this is... I think really what it comes down to is even their loss they look okay at.
Yeah, so
the Saints,
but
the Saints, they
same
tore the
time,
Saints.
We look at Tampa, and one of their wins is against the Bears.
Right.
You're right.
So pretty much they're 2-1.
So pretty much they're 2-1.
I was like, so they have a bye this week.
I think the
Next
only
week they play
team
Detroit.
that can consider the win against the Bears a win is the Broncos.
So here's what I will say, right? You gotta win those easy. You gotta win the games you're supposed to win, right?
Yes.
And what I will say is the Jags. Everyone said that the easy game was against Texans and that they had to win that game, and they didn't win it. Now, yes, Texans have looked good and Bears have not, but the thing is you have to win the games you're supposed to win, and Jags did not win the game they were supposed to win.
No.
In fact, they lost it, and they got beat pretty bad against Texans.
They did.
Right?
It was bad.
Stroud had a day.
And I think that's why I think you got to put Tampa 9. Yes, I don't think they'll stay there much long. I think they'll fall off pretty fast.
I mean, they play Detroit in their next game,
Right.
which is in 2 weeks. But
I think they will fall off really fast. But I think based on the performance now and how they look so far, you got to put them
fair.
on.
I just can't consciously put them in.
Things I can't put Jags.
It is really hard to put
I was
them
like,
high.
I to start the year, I'll show you guys.
It is also really hard to put the
31st.
Jags high,
That's
too.
the issue. I can't put the Jags 9.
It's
See,
hard
like
to put both of those
I think
teams
the
high.
I don't know
Jaguars-
who else I would have there.
Based off of what they've done in the last couple of
That-
years,
and that's
it's
the
hard
issue.
to put them both high.
Yeah,
I
was
can't-
Like, I think Jacksonville gets, for me right now, they still get the benefit of the doubt. I think after this week, it's done.
See,
I was like, if they struggle again, I'm
Yeah.
dropping them. So like, I'm still giving them one more week.
I can't put them 9. If you don't want to put Tampa 9, that's fine. I just can't put. Some other team has to be 9.
No,
Jags,
Tampa would be the one ahead of them.
Jags can't. I just can't consciously put Jags 9 because of how bad they. The only game that they look good in
Was the
is
most recent
against Atlanta.
Like,
But I think if you're looking at their performance, and yes, they've looked really good against Atlanta, although I think Atlanta's falling off fast. Right.
They are on a pretty steep downward spiral. After.
Right.
They had a great game. Like typically you see the games like the 1-point win over Green Bay, and then they kind of carry some momentum after that. But Atlanta just hasn't.
And I think that's why I think
they played 2 of my top 10 teams. So
that's fair. I just their most recent win they looked very good, but I think
it's also and part of it just the same reason you would have the Chiefs ahead of the Ravens. I'm not putting Baker ahead of Trevor Lawrence.
So I get that.
It's like the offense is talent-wise, Jacksonville clears them by a mile.
I get that.
It's like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are great, but when you have Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley, they're not too far off, and then you got a better quarterback, a better running game. The defense does favor Tampa Bay.
And I think that's the thing, right?
But I don't think it's enough this time.
But here's the issue, right? I think the Jags have. I don't know. I just don't. You're right. In terms of quarterbacks and their probably the offense, Jags probably have a better offense.
Yeah.
But that Bucks D is really good.
I don't know about really good.
They're playing really good.
They played the Bears and the Saints.
They play the Saints offense. You're right. But they also played pretty well.
20 times.
If I'm not mistaken, they played pretty well against the Eagles.
Not really.
No.
They played fine.
I don't know.
They did pretty much what we expected them to do.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. Well, they didn't stand out. They didn't do anything.
I don't know.
But that next group of teams, anyway, like moving
Yeah.
on a little bit, it's like the Chargers have been a little disappointing.
So I think the Chargers are the interesting one, right? I think that's the other team that could squeeze in because yes, they've been disappointing.
Yeah,
their 2 losses, if I'm not mistaken.
For the same thing you mentioned earlier, you need to win the games. They lost to the Titans, a game they should have won.
Here's the
Titans
have looked
interestingly
well,
good.
Titans,
whenever they're at home.
So here's the issue,
2-1
right?
at home and 0-2 on the road.
Titans are very like one of those teams that like they'll play really good one week or play complete shit the next.
Yeah,
and I think
depends on if they're at home or not.
Right, and I think here's the thing, right? They lost by 3 in the game they probably should have won, right?
Yes.
Finishing. Again, another one they probably.
The Dolphins won. That's okay.
Yeah, but they were winning for a lot.
Right,
they were winning that game. They probably should have finished. But again,
and then they almost blow a lead to the Aiden O'Connell. You don't even know who that is, do you? Yeah, I was like an Aiden O'Connell led Las Vegas Raiders team. They were this close to. So they were an Asante Samuel interception away to blowing a lead.
Here's what I'll say, right? Well, Chargers have struggled to finish games. Well, at the same time, you're right. They were very close to almost blowing that lead, and they didn't. Right? They finished the game. right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how you do it. You finish the game.
I was like, but still, like,
Right?
to the Raiders?
Here's the thing, right? Their 2 losses are to the Tennessee Titans and to the Dolphins.
The
right?
Dolphins, yes.
The Dolphins.
Jaguars' losses are to the Chiefs and Texans.
Yes, the Texans one is bad. But again, when you look at just this most recent game, I got way more confidence in the Jaguars than I do the Chargers. I may be a little harsh on the Chargers because I expected better.
Yeah. The thing is, I think the Chargers' offense is, I think that's going to start exploding.
What about their defense? Their offense is
well,
already doing fine.
I think they're going to be another kind of case. The Dolphins are going to just have to score a ton of points.
It was like because their edge rusher, Khalil Mack, just had 6 sacks in a game.
True,
and they almost lost that game.
Right, but
they almost went to overtime in that game.
They won the game. Right, they didn't look good. They didn't. I'm not saying they looked great doing the whole time. They didn't. Yeah. But you got in NFL, you have to win the games.
Yes,
you got to win the games. Every game's tough to win. You got to.
But those 2 minutes don't take away those other 58. I was like,
no.
For most of that, the first half they looked good, and then they came out of that second half, which they have done now, just flat.
I think the other thing too is you have to look at, and I think this is an important thing to see is if we're talking about Jaguars' last game is their best game they've looked, right?
Correct.
The last 2 games Chargers have played, although the last game wasn't their best game they looked, they have 2 wins.
Honestly, their best game was the Dolphins game.
Their best game
they
lost
the Dolphins. That one, but watching them,
although
I think
they played really well against the
Vikings. You put up 34 points.
If you put up points on the Dolphins, it's going to be good no matter how it is.
I think, to be honest, I think Chargers is a sneaky one. I think they...
Right,
I think
they were up there.
I think out of every team I see, I know you said, oh, you can make argument for any team between 9 and 20.
You can.
I think 11. I think Chargers at 11 is the team that I can make the biggest argument for.
Yes, 100%.
I think there's the only one that I think they're the only team that this argument is actually reasonable.
Yeah, no, that's that group that I was kind of deciding between.
Yeah,
I'll probably edit it, but yeah. So that's the group I was deciding between, and I was like, that's. And honestly, my opinion could change tomorrow. I was like, I don't like all those teams. Like so many of these, like what it's looked like so far is the team will look terrific. Like the Tennessee Titans look terrific.
Well, they played the Bengals.
That's fair. But against the Browns, they look like absolute dog crap. And then they go and play the Bengals,
and
they literally flipped it.
Yeah,
I was like, they lost 27-3 to the Browns, and then they beat the Bengals 27-3.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like there's so like this group right here is just gonna go like it's just gonna depend on the week.
So I think the Browns and Titans at 12 are 12 and 13. I think those 2 teams are. I think they have the same issue as a lot of the other like teams between them and like I would say almost 20.
Yeah, literally all the way so far down.
One week you look really good, and then one week you just don't look like you can play football.
Right.
And I think that's why. I can't make a serious argument for anyone other than the Chargers to make top 10 because you don't know what you're going to get yet. I think pretty soon you'll start finding out teams who are going to be where. I just think right now
it does seem a little early at the moment.
Yeah,
it is, and that's kind of like why I'm hesitant to put Tampa Bay up there. But they've also played great, so they're up there. But then Jacksonville, what's the word? I don't know. But I go against what I say sometimes for some, but other teams is I take it, whatever.
I think what it comes down to is the fact that at the end of the day, I think Tampa Bay, if you want to keep Jags at 10, that's I'll be fine with that. I think that's fine to put them at 10. I just think that the way Tampa has won the games, again, no one expected them to do shit, and they've played a lot better than everyone expected, right?
Like I said, I had them at 31 to start the year.
The NFL ranked them at 2-15 at the start of the year. They have 3 wins right now.
Don't get me wrong. I don't think they'll be there for much longer. I think they will start to show who they are.
I think that they can hold on
honestly,
a little bit longer.
They might even win the division.
But
that's more so because your division sucks.
I think right now, I don't think so. I think at the end of the day, I think
because I don't
Tom
have
Brady's
Buccaneers.
Here's the thing. I think Saints will figure their shit. I think
8-9 even.
Saints.
Was it 8-9?
I think it was.
Oh yeah, he had a losing record.
Yeah, it was 8-9.
Saints will figure their shit out, their offensive side out. We've been notoriously slow starter. We've been more post coming. As long as I can remember, we've not had the greatest 4-game stretch beginning of the year. We've never really have. I remember multiple times we've gone 1-3. To start our years off.
Yeah, no, I just don't have a lot of confidence in you guys to It wasn't anyone, not necessarily the Saints, but like anyone in that division.
No, because look at
to pull out anything.
Saints.
So the fact that they already have 3 wins.
So here's the thing, right?
Like,
Saints,
that's a huge advantage.
Saints are very noticeable for having slow starts, right? We're usually 1-3, 2-2 to start our first 4 games. Yeah. That's usually what we're at in these. And when we've been good, we go on long stretches in the midway of the season, and that's when we get the record, right?
But still, I was like,
Atlanta,
in terms of this year, I don't care about any other year.
No, I'm saying
because you guys have changed so much.
Right? No, we have
the last couple years,
but. That's what I'm saying with the Saints.
The Tampa Bay already has a game up.
You're right.
And a tiebreaker.
But here's the issue, right?
They played Carolina earlier, right?
No, they played the Bears.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We looked at it.
Yeah. No, so here's the thing, right?
Atlanta played Carolina. That's what it was.
I think Saints will. I think if Saints are what, and I know it's a bias coming Saints fan, but I think
a little biased.
But I think if because of that defense, if Saints and that offense can pick up just a little bit, even a little, if the Saints are what I think they will be. We'll pick it up during probably the next couple games. Probably not next one. Probably the one after. Because again, yes, we got rolled by the Tampa Bay.
Okay, just making.
Sure I know, we got rolled. I think that the one difference is when we talk about this
one too.
Between when we talk about all the teams. That's a great one.
Yeah, what's
thanks.
that?
No, we're gonna skip this.
What's that fourth quarter? 18 points.
No,
that's a pretty good defense right there.
Yeah, greatest defense in the league if you'd ask me.
I think
I feel like the Saints, if they want to do better, they have. And this might just be fantasy talking. They need to throw the ball to Olave.
They need to throw further.
They need to throw the ball.
So actually,
in general,
I disagree. I think if we want to start winning, we're gonna have to start running the ball.
Okay.
I think if we don't start running the ball,
I mean, you ran the ball this week, and it clearly didn't help.
To your credit, you haven't had a consistent running game.
In the first half, when we actually stuck to our run game, we actually didn't play that bad.
I don't think Alvin Kamara needs 13 receptions. That's not going to make you successful.
I think Kamara 11 carries for, 51 yards. I think if we really want to be places we want to be,
your biggest problem in this game is you gave Olave 1 throw for 4 yards.
Okay. Let's be honest. Our biggest issue right now is we can't fucking block to save our life. We can't give Carr time to throw to Olave. We can't give time or Kamara time to find a lane to run.
So I didn't watch every snap, but you need to find a way to where Michael Thomas and Chris Olave have more targets than Kamara does receptions.
Well, we need to find a way to make sure Kamara can run and that can free up Thomas and Olave.
Running too. But I was like, the fact that your running back in his first game back has more receptions than your top 2 receivers.
What I will say about that, though,
targets.
No, that's fair. And what I will say about that is, I'm not happy that he out targeted either one of them.
Yeah, that's bad.
But I am happy that they threw him the ball a lot because I got him in the game, right?
Yeah.
You got him.
I mean,
you got him in the play, right? It didn't work at all, and credit to Tampa Bay's D, they really kind of held us in check.
Yes.
But I liked how really we got Kamara back involved and kind of flowing, and I think that will set up for the future games. So I'm actually okay with it.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think the issue with Tampa is I think when it comes down to it is we're gonna ask a lot of Baker. I don't know if Baker.
Right.
Personally,
I don't know what Baker's
right now, Baker's looking better than Carr.
Baker is looking better. Baker's looking better than a lot.
Missed half a game.
That's fair, but I mean, even in the game.
So here's what I'll say, right? I think right now, Atlanta is the other interesting team too. I think Atlanta is a team that can do really good if they want to.
Unfortunately, bud, no one cares about the NFC South, so we're gonna go ahead and mute that. Anyways, got any famous angles?
They suck.
Yeah, same with the Patriots. Anyway, I think we'll call that there. We have to go to the gym now, so I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, please like, subscribe. See y'all later. Adios.